but
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So my family's from New Hampshire. Dad was born in Massachusetts. Brother and sister and I grew up in New Hampshire, and when we were all young, we were struggling with allergies. And so Mom was an RN. Dad was doing a variety of different businesses, and they were told by a doctor if they moved to the West that our health would be a lot better, asthma, allergies, all those types of things. And so they decided they would sell up and head west, and they didn't know where they were going. They were just told, head west. They met somebody, I think maybe in Ohio, that said, oh, Prescott, Arizona is beautiful. So they landed in Prescott in, I think it was the kind of summer of '75. And when the rains came, molds kind of came up, and they realized, oh, this isn't going to work. So then they moved down to Wickenburg, because they met somebody in Wickenburg. And when they got here, Dad worked at the Best Western as the night auditor, and Mom worked as a home health nurse. And while they were doing that, they had met somebody that said, if you ever open a place for the elderly, I'll be your first person. That was somebody from Prescott, a guy called Ernie. And so after a period of time, maybe a year or two, they decided to move us from a rented house into a leased building that Cliff Pollet owned that was up on Washington Street. And we all moved into it after it was painted with $500 insurance money from a wedding ring that my mom lost down a sink. And they bought $500 worth of paint, and they painted the whole place and moved us in, and then moved Ernie in. And that first year we ended up having 2 people, and then the second year we had 7 people. And then in the third year they looked for a property to buy. They bought this Pullman place. It was owned by Ben and Ty Pullman, and it had a ranch house and a single guest house. And Dad went to the bank for the loan to buy it. Gary Johnson with Community Bank he said, Bill, we can make this work, and arranged a mortgage. And then Dad still didn't have enough, so Gary Johnson arranged a personal loan of the remaining 5% in order to do it. And then they said, Bill, what are you going to do now? And he was like, well, I'm going to build 7 bedrooms so we can establish it. And they said, well, how much money do you have? Well, got $24,000. And they said, well, you can't do it for that. He said, well, I'm going to start. I'm going to start. And he ended up teaching himself how to do the plumbing. My brother and I helped mix cement and Hoya wheelbarrow along. And we put up the trusses, and we got it built. So then year after year, Dad really has a desire to increase capacity, to grow and develop. He's got a real eye for development, being on the Planning and Zoning for many years as the chair of the Planning and Zoning Committee. So wanted real consistency in color and design and texture and landscaping so that things sit inside the landscape. You'll notice that the trees are often pretty close to the buildings. Most builders like a clear 30-foot around the building, but my dad would never allow it. So they're kind of slotted right into the mesquite grove, which makes it feel like it's kind of set in place and it's been established for a long time. And that's a real advantage of that. So initially it was licensed by the state for assisted living. Now we have a license for 42 assisted living rooms. Some of those are directed care, which is our highest level of care, and then some are personal care. And then we have our independent living units as well.
How many independent living units?
We have 53 independent living units. And those are a variety of 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom. And most of the 2-bedroom have 2 bathrooms as well. And Mom and Dad designed them so that they would like to live in them. So the whole place has windows down at seat level, so that if you were in a wheelchair or seated, you could look out the window and see the lawns. post and beam as standard, as a very Western construction, and the stucco and the earth tones and the paintwork just makes it feel like a nice place to be. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Tell me about how it was named.
So for my mom and dad, their whole life kind of is oriented around God. From a point in their lives where they were trying lots of different things to kind of fill a gap in their lives, and they happened upon a guy that challenged them to read the Bible and come to his church, and because of that kind of commitment and orientation, they said if they started a business, they wanted it to be God's business and a stewardship of his resources. So they said, let's make sure we name it something that helps us not to forget that. So the initial place was called My Father's House, for our Father in heaven. And then when they moved down here, it was a little bit larger, and so they wanted to rename it My Father's Retirement Ranch, to have a bit of a larger scope. But with a constant reminder that they're stewarding something that doesn't belong to them. It belongs to our Heavenly Father.
Nice. How are we doing?
Good.
I think we want to touch on the family atmosphere and the legacy that you're bringing through the years, and even now with the change in ownership, how having you stay in the position that you're in elongates that consistency and that legacy.
So Mom and Dad had a real vision for making it a place where they would want to live themselves, and our continued hope is that people feel like we are their family. And it's often true when you're caring for elders that you see them more than their own family sees them, either because of geographical distance around the country or work commitments. So our caregivers and our staff see people often, throughout every single day, 24/7. In a way, we have an insight into them and their personalities and their way of life that family members sometimes don't. So that is a privilege and also can be a burden. We feel the loss greatly when we have a resident, leave. And that's something that Mom and Dad really engendered in the way they treated residents and cared for residents and created a home for residents. This place for the assisted living, this is their living room. This is their dining room. It's their space which they inhabit. And then for the independent living residents, as well as, 4 walls and, a kitchen and a bathroom, it's really the community that is what nurtures and cares for. And the World Health Organization says that healthcare is not primarily about medicine, and longevity is not primarily about medicine, but it's about healthy eating, healthy exercise, and healthy social interaction. That's what keeps you young. A couple of years ago, we had 3 people that were 104 here, and one of them in particular, she had tea every morning with lemon and honey. She had a little bit of whiskey at night before bed. She had a stable, healthy, active lifestyle, and played cards until 2 days before she passed. So, and I think that's what I want for myself. I want to stay healthy and active, till close to the end.
So along the lines of your position here, and fill us in a little bit about obviously through your childhood you had experiences here, and then you came along to take more of a management role, and then bring us into the change in ownership.
Yeah, so grew up grew up here on site, of course, went away to college at Arizona State, worked here for a couple of years when I was young after college, then went overseas, worked overseas for 24 years in Russia and England. A variety of cross-cultural projects as well in Africa and Asia and Europe. Came back 7 years ago to help in the business. Dad had said, you know, he was wanting more time off and wanting to, you know, relax a little bit more. So came back to help and have been the executive director, doing all the things that entails. And so when the new company came through a mutual friend introduced us, and they were interested in expanding, and Dad was considering stepping back and passing on the place. The new company asked if I would continue on as the executive director. So, and it's a very, for me, kind of fun and complex role, because it's kind of everything. The state compliance and resident wellness, some caregiving. 6 months ago I was doing 2 days a week night shift overnight because we had a gap in the staffing. 3 months ago I was cooking breakfast 2 days a week for the assisted living. So it's a good thing I knew how to cook eggs and bacon. So but it's I like change, and I like a varied role, and so I enjoy that. But we also are licensed by the state of Arizona, so there's a lot of compliance, which is not as enjoyable, the paperwork, but somebody's got to do it. Yeah. So.
Are there other family members here, members of your family, that are on site and part of the operation now?
Yeah. So right now, my daughter Daniela, who's 24, is just filling in for a little while before she goes for the summer to England, and she's helping us with some, I call it like projects, some of our paperwork projects, which is very helpful. Yeah, but she's the only one at the moment. I used to have my nephews mowing the lawns, but they've grown up a little bit and doing other work now.
Okay. Are there other things that you had in mind that we want to include?
I don't know. I think the name is good. A bit of the history is good. Yeah, I think one of the things that really makes or breaks a community is inclusiveness and welcoming new people, and it is a discipline. You know, for every group of friends, it's hard to invite a new person into the friendship group. It's a choice to invite a new person, and all the more so when you are elderly, because you have established ways of relating, and you have people that you're used to relating to. So for people to come to a community like this and open themselves up to making new relationships and growing and building new relationships, it takes quite a step of faith and some energy and commitment, and it's a choice every day to meet that new person and integrate that new person into the community. So I'm really proud that in our dining room people move to different tables and they meet new people, and had a comment yesterday at our resident meeting, which we have once a month, that the new people that came in the last month to the ranch seem like they've been here a long time, because they've met their neighbors and they've met people in the dining room, and they feel like they belong. And that's really to do with the people that are here, and you can hope for that and you can encourage that, but you can't force it.
Right.
Yeah.
If you were talking to someone considering placing a family member here, or they themselves were considering this as their residence, what would you tell them?
I'd say think about it before you have a medical crisis. You want to have the time and energy to be deliberate and intentional. Think about it as a new place to live and belong, not the end of life as it is. It's just a transition to a new way of living. What makes this place special are the other residents and the staff. Our staff really see our residents as extended family, and they are supportive and nurture and really care. It's not just a job. They're not just here for their hourly wage. They're really here to look after people, and that really is how we train people, and about the people that we hire as well, because you can teach skills, but you can't teach character. You can't teach social and emotional skills. Those you kind of have when you grow up with them, or you don't have. And so we really are careful at inviting people to join us that have something about them that is caring, and it's kind of a self-sustaining team. Our team of staff work really hard, and they all work together. If there's somebody that's not kind of working at their best pace, they often feel uncomfortable and self-select out, because they are all really committed to how they care for the residents and how they work. And it's like running a household. Our staff help people get dressed, help set the tables, help serve the food, help clear the tables, do some cleaning, do laundry. It's like a household. So if you're a caregiver here, you do lots of different things.
Tell us the name of the new company and why your family felt comfortable giving this thing that you've invested in for 2 generations now.
Yeah.
Transitioning to this company. Why did that feel good?
Yeah. So the company's name is Glen Una Senior Housing Management, and they currently just have 2 retirement communities, one in Prescott and one here. It was started by the Levies, a father, 2 sons, and we met them through a mutual acquaintance, and realized they were looking for another facility. They wanted it to be fairly close to their current facility. They were a family with a strong values, work ethic, commitment to elder care, and we were looking for somebody that was committed to continuing on both the look of the place and the feel of the place. And they were committed to continuing the family style dining rather than the cafe style. When people come to our dining rooms, it's like a party. It's like a highlight of their day. They love coming to meals because there's a buzz. The dining room's full. There's a lot of conversation, and people come an hour before it starts, just to have a cup of tea or coffee and to talk with other people in the room, catch up on the news of the day. So it's a lot of fun. So I think with Glen Una and the Coles family, we found a common ground in caring for the elderly, and I think we've been learning stuff from one another. We're like learning lots from their way of management that's helping us to be more effective, and they've said repeatedly, that's a great idea. We're going to do that up in Prescott. So we're learning from one another, and that's been really good.
Good.
Future?
Yeah.
but if there's plans.
Oh, so part of the reason my dad was very keen to consider the sale is because we really feel there needs to be some development in the area of elder care capacity within our community. That capacity development requires both a large financial investment as well as a commitment to time and energy. And we really felt that we wanted somebody else to take on that financial investment and the energy. And so that was part of the impetus behind the sale. And I know that Glen Una has been talking to marketing consultants and architects and looking at the site, and so they're in the process of figuring out, what might be the best thing to do, how to do it, so that it fits in sympathetically with our surroundings and maintains the continuity of development that my dad started in 1982 when he bought this place.
Okay.
That was really good.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah, I think we touched on all the
Good.
key points.
Good. Yeah, it's a shame Dad declined.
You did really good, though.
Yeah, you did well.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, hopefully that's enough. And if